Hello, welcome inside the Chris Evans Podcast, a part of Second Banana Media. Once again, visit with the Lady J head coach, Breck Clark, and Coach, been a little busy here in the last few weeks.
Yes, it feels like game after game after game, so which is good, but yeah. It's busy.
It's 7 games, counting Saturday and Sunday. I think I got 7 games in 12 days.
Yes, that's correct. So last week we had 4, and then this week we had 1 Monday, Tuesday, and then we'll have 1 Friday.
And we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk about that big 7 games in 12 days. There was a big win in there amongst some cool stuff that we'll talk about. But I'm kind of embarrassed I haven't been able to bring up your coaches in a few of in these podcasts here. But you got a great staff, and just talk about them.
Yeah, they are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because obviously I don't know everything that I'm doing, and it gets overwhelming because there's so much, to learn, and then on top of that, you have to do everything else that everybody else is doing. Josh Smith, he's my assistant. He's new this year as well.
Yeah.
He came from Texas, and he actually used to be a head coach. So him coming in and having that experience has helped a lot because he kind of knows the ins and outs, and he just does all the little things, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job with the JV team. They're doing great. So I'm so lucky to have him. And then Sam Morgan is my other assistant. And he's great too. He's been here, so he can kind of tell me like, hey, this is how this goes. This is how that goes. This is what you need.
This kid needs a hug.
Right.
This kid needs to be. Yeah.
Yes, he's already built those relationships with them. So, it's good because when they met me and Josh, it wasn't all new. Like They still had that one person they had a relationship with, and he works nights. He'll come straight to practice, or he'll go from a game and he'll go straight to work. And he's always there and he's helpful. So both of them have just been, a lifesaver for me.
And both know the game. They, don't just sit there. I mean, they're instructing.
No.
They're, hey, come here, let's talk real quick. As you do other things, they're kind of one-on-one time with him.
Exactly. I love that because I don't see everything.
Yeah.
So sometimes they see stuff that I don't, and I'm glad that they, are willing to speak on that because it helps.
And another big part of your program here in your first year is the Booster Club. And I mean, there's always something at a table before you go in to buy something to help support the girls are eating afterwards. I mean, just talk about the Booster Club. Yeah,
that's a big deal as well. And I think I don't know if I'm mistaken or not. I think this is because we set the Booster Club up.
Correct. Yeah, this is something that's fairly new that you would think had been around for a while, but it hasn't.
Right. So I was a little worried, because I was like, I hope the parents don't think I'm just like asking for money.
Right.
But they have just gone above and beyond. Yeah. They are helping with the banquet. They help with fundraising. They help with food, decorations. They've helped with senior night. So they kind of have taken the bull by the horns on that. So that's another thing I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, and that's all part of a program. This is not just coming out and playing on Monday Monday last couple, but Tuesdays or Fridays. This is a program.
Yes. So it takes everybody, and everybody's doing their part, and that's a big reason why we've been successful this year. So. Okay,
so I got some sources up in the stands that Mama Clark likes her some basketball. Mom and Dad like some basketball.
Oh, yes. So she will be at every game. Unless she just can't. And then my dad works and he'll come on the Friday games, but she is invested. So she's always been a big, both of them have always been a huge support system of mine. But yeah, this whole season, I think,
a little bit more amped up, maybe.
A little more amped up, yeah. So which is cool.
Back to your playing days?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. They might be even a little bit more. Yeah. And the girls all run up and hug them. And then, so it's fun to see.
Do they get into the X's and O's with you?
Yeah. They'll try to, they'll coach me like I coach the girls. They'll be like, well, you did this, and, so it's kind of funny. But
well, Lady J's 13-9, and the only good thing about playing 7 games in 12 days is a lot of them were at home because we didn't play a lot one in December and hardly any in January, I don't think. But that is the good thing that we're now being rewarded with those home games.
Right. Yeah. It's been, I don't know how we would have done it if they were away games because it was tough enough when they were home games. But and not only were they home games, they were all 5A and 6A teams, and they were all ranked 5A and 6A teams.
Highly ranked teams.
Highly ranked teams. Yes. So saw some good things, saw some things we need to work on. So at the end of the day, I'm glad it happened because now we get that experience, and now we have that, in our pocket going into playoffs. We're not going to get hit in the face with 3 hard games in a row because we've been through it. And another thing that people kind of don't see is our JV teams played as many times as the varsity did.
That's right.
And they turned a corner this week. I mean, that's all they needed was experience.
Yes.
And to be able to see that and to kind of see that light go off, and they're like, oh, wow, this is what you do. And to play with, it's been a fun week. So.
And with so many of those games, you had some of those JV girls get some time in varsity at moments just to get some of that experience as well. And remember, there was no JV a year ago for these girls, so this is really something new to them as well.
Oh, yeah. So they, we're not very deep. And I kind of told them, I was like, hey, I'm not making any promises, but 4 games in 1 week and 3 games after that is hard to play with 6 people. And I need people to come in, and just do their job, give us some breaks. And a few people have stepped up and done that. A big one is Denise Doolittle. Mm-hmm. She has all the talent. She just kind of needed that time to learn.
Yeah.
And getting her that experience has been phenomenal. I think she'll actually be able to help us a little bit in playoffs. So.
Yeah, it's one thing to do it in practice, but when there's people in the stands
Correct.
and there's 3 officials and the lights are bright, it's another thing.
Yeah, so that was a good thing for her as well.
Well, we always talk about this conference with El Reno, Piedmont, Carl Albert, and Shawnee, Noble, all that, but to play 3 in a row, Carl Albert, Piedmont, El Reno, was another task. And, man, the Piedmont game, we'll talk about Piedmont here in a little bit because that will be senior night on Friday night. Plus regionals, but overtime on their floor, and could have gone either way in regulation, and same thing in overtime, had a chance.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Number 2 ranked, I think, or number 2 on this side for sure.
Exactly, on the west side. It's Carl Albert, we played them Friday, and the score didn't depict it, but we actually played really well against them. We did everything right. They shot, I think it was 73% from the 3-point line.
On their home floor.
In the first, 8 for 11 in the first half. So when people shoot like that, what can you do? So I thought we played well. And then obviously Piedmont is a powerhouse, and we played with them, and we get to see if we can play with them again on Friday.
Yeah.
And then El Reno, I think we kind of broke that ceiling a little bit. We came out with a really good win, took everybody, and I think that gave them the confidence to realize, oh, wow.
Yeah.
We don't have to just get close. We can actually win. So
Yeah. Guthrie beats El Reno 43-39 to split that on a season series, Bear. In the Piedmont, we'll talk about Piedmont in a second, but then I thought it was really tough because, you played overtime emotional game with Piedmont, and then you have a great home victory against El Reno. And then you got to reschedule Ponca City, and so now you're on your 3rd game in 4 nights. And it's a 6A program, and probably should have won it, but it was tough. And then Shawnee, 4th game in 5 days. You could tell watching that game that you can always stay at high. You can get up for Piedmont, El Reno, Carl, but there's you have to come down a little bit. That's just human nature to come down.
Yeah.
Besides being tired.
Exactly. So, we lost a tough on Thursday, and then Friday, obviously, it was tough. And another thing that's tough is we play a really fast style of basketball.
Right.
So 4 days in a row was just hard. But we kind of, had some tough love meetings because I'm super proud of you guys, but, this is going to be that same thing in playoffs. You're going to have to play 3 really, really hard teams in a row, and you're going to be tired. And that kind of stuff comes down to who can kind of break that barrier. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that it happened. And also I got a lot of coaching experience from it as well, and I told them that I was like, hey, I make just as many mistakes as you do. And I'm learning from mine as well. So it was good for us all around. And I think we'll be able to use what we didn't do right then in playoffs to help us.
Absolutely. And so last regular season game Friday night against the Piedmont Lady Wildcats again. See if we can split the series like we did at El Reno. Lost there, but come back here against Piedmont. But so I'm going to talk about your seniors here, and then we'll talk about the regional play. But you go to Piedmont, and you got Noble ahead. We'll talk about Noble here in a second as well. But you got Noble, you can't look ahead at Piedmont. But you go to the Piedmont Regional here next week, and I've already asked you this, but we'll do it on the air. So Piedmont, they know you, you know them. You probably just go out and try to win the game just for that confidence, because you try to I won't show this inbounds play. I won't show this, that type deal. But go out there, and this is a confidence deal for next week.
Right, yeah. So I really want them to have that kind of surge going into playoffs. And they have every, possibility to do it. At the end of the day, like you said, we know each other. Either one of us can get film from anybody any second of the day.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of who goes out there and executes their game plan better, and what team is on that night.
Yeah, and who wants to win
right.
more. So we'll see. That'll be a fun one. Talk about your seniors.
So my seniors, which I'm sad. This is my first group of seniors as a head coach.
You remember your first seniors, and you remember your first seniors that went through all 4 years.
Yes.
I mean, you remember all of them, but those are the ones that really
stick out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we have 4. We have 3 players and a manager. Elena Wallace is one of them. What I asked her to do this season is I asked her to learn 3 to 5 years of stuff within a year. And it's been hard sometimes, and she's had to deal with that pressure, but she has exceeded every expectation I had of her, and she's a huge reason why we've won some of the games we've won, just because she gets hustle plays. She presses people. She's fast.
Stuff that doesn't show up in the stat box.
Exactly. Yeah. She does the little things that nobody else will do.
Yeah.
And then you've got Braden Russell. She came from Bishop McGinnis. Our team needed a 3-point shooter. We have Kinley, obviously, but I mean, having 2 now that can consistently hit, you can't guard the drive now. You got to pick one.
Angel and Mariah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And high IQ, high basketball knowledge, loud voice, has a leadership, wants to help other people.
Yeah.
So she's been a huge asset to us as well. And then obviously Angel. She's always been special.
Yeah.
Obviously.
4-year starter.
Yeah. But to see her kind of she even turned a corner. I mean, she's always been great, but we've added those pieces around her, and she's kind of bought into, okay, I don't have to do it all myself.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Yes. And because she's done that, she's just flown by anything that she's done in the past I believe.
Yeah.
So she's special, and all 3 of them are going to be missed next year, but I think they're going to have an exciting run in playoffs this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Lady Jays final senior night will be Friday against Piedmont. Tip will be at 6:00. The regional brackets came out, and any surprises? Really, we knew Carl Albert would be a host, and Lot MacArthur, El Reno would be a host, and Piedmont would be a host. But was there any surprises as far as matching up anywhere?
Not too much. I think the only thing that surprised me at the end, right before the final rankings came out, Altus came up with a big win against Duncan.
Okay.
And I think that switched the rankings a little bit. So had it have stayed the same, we would have played Del City first round. But because they did that, there was a little bit of motion in the 8, 9, 10 seeds. So now we play Noble. But other than that, I think, pretty expected. And some of those teams, first round, you think one team's going to blow the other out. A lot of those teams are going to be, that's going to be close. So.
Yeah, and when you get into regional play, you got to win that first one, or it's an elimination game. Now, if you win your first one, lose the second one, you still got to go through the loser bracket, win 2 games to get to the state tournament. But so Friday night, I keep saying Friday night, Piedmont Senior Night. Get out there to the gymnasium. Great crowds all season long as well. So, but you do draw Noble. You beat them twice this year, January 6th and January 27th at Noble, 58-51, and then here at home, 47-36. And I always talk about how hard it is to beat a team 3 times in a row, and that's what you'll be challenged with. And I'm sure you're probably challenging your girls to forget those games because they're hungry.
Yes. Yeah. So, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, and there's good and bad. The good thing is, we know what to expect for the most part. We know who matches up well with who, all that good stuff. But, when you get beat by a team twice, and we didn't blow them out, they're a good team.
Yeah.
And that this is, win or go home.
Yeah.
They're going to come for blood. And if we don't, match that energy and exceed that energy, they have every opportunity to pull that upset. So the girls just have to be ready. If we do it, we do, and I know how we can do it, we'll be fine. But they have to have that mindset for sure. And
I should have looked before. Thursday night will be Noble, 6:30.
Yes, Thursday night, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yes.
I'm still used to old school 6:30.
Okay, yeah.
6 o'clock. Yeah.
And then that'll be at Piedmont. So
Piedmont. Yeah, win or go home deal. So. When did the 6 o'clock game start? Is this a year or 2 old, or?
I think so, because I think it was my second year at El Reno. We started changing it to 6.
Get home earlier.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure why. So, but I like it better.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. I know you guys have been so busy, 7 games in 12 days, but these are the games that really matter now. And best of luck, senior night. And I know you want everybody out there to celebrate these senior girls.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely come out. They deserve that recognition and that praise. They've worked so hard, and I'm excited for them. So.
Yeah, excited for you as well. Thank you for always stopping by.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Breck Clark, the head coach of the Lady Jays, join us here, and we again invite you out to the gymnasium Friday night as Guthrie takes on Piedmont in a big matchup as they get set for regionals next week. We'll talk to you next time here on the Chris Evans Podcast.